to order at 7 o'clock. Ms. Covray, could I get roll call, please?
Aaron Rashba. Here. Andrea Jordan.
Here.
Shaquille Ali is not present. Nadia Flamenco is absent. Anthony Sujisaka.
Here. All right, we have a quorum, so we will continue. All right, and we will have, next is the Pledge of Allegiance. So we will have our students from Benjamin Franklin and Fernando Rivera please come up to the podium and assist us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, there, I'll stand up. The United States of America.
Thank you, students. All right, item number 4, the administration recommends approval of the agenda.
May I
Yeah.
make a comment? Trustee Flamenco is not able to make it tonight, but she did request to pull item 13A, but it is up to the board to decide if they want to move forward with that or not.
And to recall to pull an item, we need to motion in a second.
Just clarification, which item?
13A, the board policies.
The second reading.
The request was to remove that item.
Or to pull it, or
Pull it for a future meeting.
to table, I guess is the appropriate table.
And question, are there timelines for when we have to approve these kind of updates, or?
You usually want to approve them within a timely manner. There's no deadline, but it keeps us up to date with law. And so that's why we do want to not delay it too much longer, but moving it to another meeting is not a problem.
This is also a second reading, so we have read it once before. All right, so I will entertain a motion.
I motion to move forward with the agenda as is.
Second.
All right, this is a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, item 5, special presentations. 2025 Tobacco Use Prevention Education to Pay Public Service Announcement PSA winners. Students from Benjamin Franklin and Fernando Rivera Intermediate Schools will be recognized for winning the 2025 To Pay Public Service Announcement Contest, selected by the County Health Tobacco Education Coalition Youth Advisory Group, or YAG.
I realize I forgot my timer, so I'm going to send Ms. Scott to go get it in my
No
office.
worries, yeah, thank you.
So I'm going to call up the students and the staff that are going to present their winning public service announcements. So Ms. Martinez, if you want to come up and have the group come up.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello again. So we have our four sets of middle school students in our district. So FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas R. Policita, and Fernando Rivera. Students participate in this program. We've been participating in it in some way since my first being, which I'm not going to say that date, but a long time. So it's something I used to experience at the site, and now I get to experience it through my site leads and the students. And I had mentioned about how amazing they were in my last presentation, and that we won a lot of the awards. They're also being recognized on the county website. I saw that today. So very, very big wins for us. So we're here today to celebrate them and the hard work that they did with their different types of public service announcements to hopefully inform their peers and influence decisions that are not to use tobacco, alcohol, or other substances. So if we could skip to the slides. Oh. All right, so first up, poster category.
This poster, we did this. It represents what happens when you use tobacco, and the process of using it, and the effects also of what happens when you use it too often. And we also put facts on how to quit to help others, to help spread awareness of steps on like how we could, help others who use it to quit.
Nothing really. I just want to add on that I want to thank Shania. She helped me a lot. I helped her a lot. It's half and half. I think this poster, we worked really hard on it, and nothing much really. I don't know what to say.
Good job. The pictures and the words say it all, so we understand. All right, and then we have our next up, Say No to Vaping, our next group who got second place.
So I also just want to thank Lily for doing this poster with me, because it was also a 50-50 project. And this poster just represents like the effects and usage of vaping, and like how it like affects your life and just overall. And yeah.
All right, and in third place we have Anna. So her picture says it all, and we really love what you did. I can tell that it definitely sends a message about what can happen, so thank you. Okay, so that concludes our posters. The next category that we were recognized in was audio. And so I actually linked the audio if we want to play it. Oops. Oh. Maribel, do you want to come up? There you are. They'll play it first, and then you can say something.
When I first wrote this song, I was just like thinking about like at first like not what to do, and like what is bad and what is good. But then I realized that the song was a little bit plain, so I changed it up and put like deeper meanings in it. And it really shows like once you look at the lyrics, you can see like the vision, like that one line that had chains. Basically, you're trapped on the ground and you can't fly away, basically, and you want to get off, like, you don't want to be stuck there forever. So you can basically like vision it in your head, like, oh, that's what it looks like.
Yes, music can definitely change perspectives. It can change how people feel. So very powerful. Thank you. Okay, now next category is our video category. And do we have anybody who wants to talk about this? Okay, okay. Let's show their video.
People become weed heads, they become sluggish, lazy, stupid, and unconcerned. Sluggish, lazy, stupid, and unconcerned. Be yourself and know that that's good enough. Trying to be somebody else. Don't try to be like someone else. Don't try to act like someone else. Be yourself. Be secure with yourself. Rely and trust upon your own decisions, on your own beliefs. This is Mom. Call me Bonnie.
Well, except that for Chloe and Francis, Chloe's at a concert and Francis is at a party. But I do want to just say thank you to Stephanie Martinez and Carla for all they do for Tupe and for our school district. It's definitely extremely impactful. We've really grown up amazing peer leaders. And it's just a joy to work with you, Carla, and to work with you, Stephanie, and to have these great opportunities for the kids, especially Teens Tackle Tobacco. I don't know if you know about it, but we went to Berkeley, and it's totally student-run. It's an amazing program, and it was really impactful for the kids. So I can't thank you both enough for involving us and bringing it to our district and the impact it's made. At least I've been with you for at least 5 years. So I've seen a lot of change and a lot of growth and a tremendous amount of opportunities that the doors that open, with music notes and, just incredible opportunities for these kids. So, and then we're going to have one more student. So thank you.
Can we play this video? Oh, sorry. Maybe say something after. Okay. Stand next to me. Sorry.
So I've been a 2 p.m. peer leader for 2 years now, and I'd say my inspiration for doing this video was that 2P taught me a lot. It taught me not only the risks of tobacco use, but also the importance of spreading awareness in your community, and I feel like through this video I was able to do that. Thank you.
Okay, and that concludes, but I do want to just mention thank you to Carla Rodriguez, who works at the county and has kept us really motivated and expanded a lot of the things that we were doing. And We really appreciate your support. And those who couldn't make it, Amber Waters, who supports at Franklin D. Roosevelt, Shelley Chrisan, who supports at Thomas R. Policita, and then, of course, Sue McMahon Diogi, who just spoke from Fernando Rivera, and then Hillary Davis and Bridget Rudolph, who support at Ben Franklin. This work would never be what it is for the students if it weren't for all of you. And students, thanks for keeping us informed and just inspired, and absolutely so proud of everything that you guys did this year, and it should be recognized beyond. So tell your parents, okay? Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Before you all leave, we actually do have some certificates for all of our students. For the students that didn't show up, maybe we'll have the teacher representative of that school come up and just grab it for them and then give it to them at school, if that's possible. So then I will start on my right. Well, my only direction.
Well, I just want to thank all of the teachers who organized this, the county representatives, students, and parents for coming tonight. That was really incredible. And thank you for making us aware and bringing our district to the county with the recognition you've gotten at that higher level. You know, it strikes me that we adults can say a lot about the dangers, harms of using tobacco products, but what you did is far more effective in that, you know, your presentation is peer-to-peer and, you know, makes a much bigger impact, and you didn't just tell, but you showed and, you know, did musical a presentation in an interesting way that your peers can relate to. So job well done. Thank you.
I actually also want to echo my fellow board trustee sentiments. My oldest daughter is graduating from high school tomorrow, and she actually went through this program at Ben Franklin, and so I'm really happy to see that this is continuing. Peer pressure is going to continue as you move on to the next grade level, as you go into high school, actually after even you graduate high school, and so I think it's important that you're setting the foundation now for what you should be doing for the right habits, a way to deal with stress and anxiety is not, you know, using a vape or smoking a cigarette. And so I think to my fellow trustees' statements of speaking peer-to-peer, as you move on to the next grade level, as you do things in your life, speak about what you've done here today, what you've done in your classrooms with regards to this, because it's going to go beyond just the presentation you're making to us today. You could probably save someone's life or get them to do something differently and form a better habit in the future.
I echo my fellow board trustee sentiments, and whether you like it or not, that thing's on the internet forever. So hopefully you always come back to JESD website and go to that presentation and never forget the message that you said. I also really appreciate that you use different forms of art to express the messages in those videos. It takes a lot of courage to write something, make a poster, put your name on it, and then also either writing a song or singing that. That's very vulnerable. Being an actor, being on video is very vulnerable. So I want to appreciate the students for being very vulnerable and putting those positive messages out there, whether or not everyone agrees with them. That takes courage. All right, and now we will actually get to the certifications, or the certificates.
Okay, I have a certificate of recognition for Shania May Soriano. Another certificate for Ethan Tan. And finally, certificate for Lily Begonia.
My certificates are for Zoe Backley. And then for Anna Arriaga Martinez. And Maribel de la Riarte.
All right, and my first certificate is for Chloe Lai. My next certificate is for Francis Martinez. And my last but not least certificate is Joyce Doe. All right, so we would like to request that you all stay just for the first 3 items on our agenda. That's our comments, superintendent comments, and public comment. After that, if you really need to leave, please leave. And next time there is a party or a concert, please invite us. We'll have our meeting there. All right, and so we will move to item 6A, board member acknowledgements and commendations. And I will start on my only direction.
All right. Well, we have so many exciting things happening in our district right now. We have celebratory events, graduations next week, and so much to celebrate. It's also the time of year when some can take our foot off the gas, and I want to use my time today to implore the students, the parents, the teachers, the administrators and staff in our district to do everything we can to finish off this school district strong and keep it going through the summer. We have just 180 days every school year, and every one of them needs to be utilized in order for our students and our district to achieve their best and reach our goals. So that means students, parents, students showing up to school, parents getting them there, and offering engagement in the classroom every day, and to think ahead to the summer. It is a summer break, yes, and a time to relax and restore, but it is not a time to take off from learning. Learning should happen every single day. It doesn't have to happen in school. Some of the most effective and important learning can occur outside of the schools. I always start with our libraries, a tremendous free resource that our communities have, and encourage my own kids and all kids to be reading every single day during the school year and through the summer. It's such a valuable lifelong habit. And we have so many great summer programs to take advantage of here within the district and outside the district. Some are still open. I just signed my child up for a camp today. So let's finish this school year off really strong, celebrate all that we've accomplished during the school year, and have a great summer ahead. Thank you.
And I echo my fellow board trustee sentiments. For those of you in the crowd that are 8th graders and going off to high school, congratulations. It's not a small feat. There's so much more learning ahead. It's an exciting time for you and your families. It's the next chapter in your book. And then I want to talk through about the library. I'm a fan of the libraries. I read all the time. It is like traveling without leaving your bedroom or your living room. But there's an incentive. If you go to the libraries during the summer, they actually give gifts when you complete a reading challenge. And so if you like free gifts for just doing what you would do normally, don't hesitate to go to the library. Both San Mateo County and San Francisco, our neighboring county, actually do the free gifts after you do the reading challenge, so I definitely encourage everyone to sign up for that. I would also like to thank all the parents that are here supporting your children tonight or just here for the meeting tonight. We really love seeing a full house of people. I know everyone's busy. If you have a chance, we do record these live, and if you're not used to maybe attending the meetings, knowing what's going on in the district, the decisions that we're making, the way we're spending money for your students, please log in when you're unable to come in person to listen to what we're talking about. We are here for you, and so we want to hear from you what you want for your children and for our community. And so I encourage you to stay involved and at least stay informed about what's going on so that your voice is heard, and we're taking into account what your needs are for your families.
What they both said. On top of that, summer is also a time where everyone needs to take a mental health break, so make sure you're actually taking your breaks. Studying is great, and please continue to study, but don't study the whole summer. Please take a break, relax your brain. You need to take a break so that you can continue working and do what you do. It's funny that both of you mentioned libraries, because I was also going to mention libraries. I'm very ADHD. It's hard for me to read a book, but I love audiobooks. There is an audiobook app from the libraries that you all can download. I just recently learned about this. I highly recommend even if you do not like reading, pick up an audiobook. It's much more easily digestible. It really helps me, but the content in the books are so valuable, you can't afford to miss out on it. Oh, Libby's the app. Thank you. See, I knew you knew about it. Yes, it is free, and you just have to have your library card. They'll help you with it. Another thing that I just learned libraries have, well, not just learned, they have, I think it's either state or national park passes, one of the two. I think it's state park passes for free. You can check them out of the library. So if you are looking to go somewhere but don't want to go super far, you can check out a state, I'm pretty sure it's a state pass, and you can get into all the state parks for free. So go and do that. Highly recommend. For our meeting today, I had a couple things I wanted to just remind us. So our timer, we are going to be having our timer for our presentations. Just going forward, the timer is really to make sure that our presenter is keeping on time. But I wanted to also remind our board members that since these are our meetings for our agenda that we need to get done, we will have unlimited time to ask questions and really get the answers that we need to digest information and make informed decisions. So I just we wanted to be transparent about that to the public. And then going forward with questions, to make sure that every person gets to ask at least one question, we're gonna start at one question at a time. So even with follow-ups, please let the next person go, and then we will come back and answer all follow-up questions. And with that, I'll pass it to superintendent comments.
Yes, good evening. I want to thank the students. I was really impressed by your presentation, by your projects that you did, and I want to thank the staff that has supported you with that as well. So I was really impressed. I hadn't seen work like that in a while, and so it was really impressive is the word. So thank you for being here tonight. Also, I have been at the libraries a lot lately too, so it's funny that you mentioned that. I was actually just at John Daly Library this evening for their story time. I've been going to the story times to try to recruit families to our district for preschool, because we now have fee-based preschool. I have some bookmarks that I've been giving out. I laminated them for the board. I've also been posting, flyers for families. So I've been talking to a lot of families that have 2-year-olds, some 3-year-olds, getting them to enroll. And I don't know if it was me or other things, but our TK enrollment is growing. We have to open another class. And so we're going to open a new class at FDR. And we may have to open another one if enrollment keeps growing. So I'll take credit for that. Just kidding. We had open house for our elementary sites last week. I attended Thomas Edison, Susan B. Anthony, JFK, and Daniel Webster. I got around pretty quickly. And then other of our cabinet members visited the other sites. And then tomorrow night is our middle school open house. And so that will be between 5 and 7, depending on the site. So check with your school to see what time. And I encourage 5th grade families to go to the middle schools, check it out, see where you'll be going next year. 8th grade promotion will be next week on Thursday or Friday, depending on what school. And last day of school is next Friday. Thursday and Friday are both minimum days, so reminding families of that. And, yes, we got a notice that I'll be sharing with the board, the full notice, but this was sent to me and President Sujisaka. The County Office of Education, Kevin Bultima, from the Deputy Superintendent of Business Services, sent us a notice saying that we have submitted a positive certification for our second interim report and that they concur with it. They did note that they recommend that we closely monitor our budget and assess potential revenue enhancements and or budget reductions to eliminate the deficit spending, which we have a committee that we're starting. Already have 15 people interested in that committee. So we'll be getting back to people in August. So if you're interested, it will be in the newsletter next week with the link that people can sign up to be on that committee to look at our budget and to see how we can grow our district and improve our programs. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent McCulloch. All right, we move on to item 6C, persons wishing to address the board. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. We will display the 2-minute timer on the screen. If the timer ends, I will stop you if you go over. As a reminder, the board may not discuss or comment on any items not listed on this agenda or expressed during communications public comment. We will let you know that we want you to know that we will hear you and will ask our superintendent to follow up on your comments. Please make sure you leave your name and contact information with Ms. Coveray so our administration knows how to reach you. Ms. Coveray, do we have any public comment? Excellent, thank you very much. All right, so now if you have to leave, you may, but you may also stay. All right, item number 7, consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of these items before the board vote unless a member of the board, staff, or public requests specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent agenda. It is understood that the administration recommends approval of all consent items. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. The administration recommends approval of the following consent agenda items. Are there any items that we need to pull? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, we move to item 8A, CSBA Annual Education Conference. Board members will discuss and determine which board members would like to attend the CSBA Annual Education Conference to be held in person in Sacramento from December 3rd through 5th, 2025. The estimated cost of attending this conference for each person is $1,865, funded through the board conference budget. Board members can also opt to attend the pre-conference. It doesn't say on here, but it is in Sacramento, just so we all know. All right, so do any board members want to express that they are going? I will express that I am interested in attending.
May I also add, if you are interested, the pre-conference, there is a required ethics course that you do need to take by January of 2026. And so I think it was a new law, and so I don't know if any board member has taken it yet. I know our new board member has, but they offer it during the pre-conference, or you can take it during, they have online virtual ones as well. But if you wanted to take advantage of it during the pre-conference, let us know as well. But we're trying to take advantage of the early bird registration because it's a significant discount. And with our budget situation right now, it would be great if we could take advantage of that.
We appreciate the forward thinking of the district. All right, any other board members interested in attending the pre-conference, conference, or all?
Yes, I'm interested. Is this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we have 2. All right, and that's okay if you do not want to say anything.
I cannot commit to those dates. However, I will do the virtual training for the ethics.
I would also like to do the virtual training for the ethics, so I will not be making the pre-conference, but I will attend the regular conference.
About the same. I plan to be there. December's a long way away, but certainly hope to be there.
Did you want to do the virtual ethics as well?
Virtual ethics.
So then for this vote, we will not vote for you to attend, or should we vote for the money and then, what do you think?
Please vote for me to attend.
Vote for you to attend. Thank you.
So it would really, you just vote for how many board members. And so with one board member missing, do you want to approve that all board members that are able to go attend? That's what, we just need to know the parameters.
Well, so we know one board, yeah. What do you want to say?
So I was just going to say, it sounds like we should probably vote to get at least 4 since we don't know about the other one, and then confirm with the board member that's not here before we make the registration, because it sounds like it has to be between this June 10th, which is coming up fast, I guess. Is that accurate?
That's the deadline would be actually for early registration is August 12th.
Oh, so we do still have
We
a
have
little
a
time.
little bit of
Perfect.
time.
Okay.
Would it be
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
would it be all right to just approve up to 5 and then,
That's what I was going to suggest,
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
All right, so with that, if there's any other discussion, otherwise I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve up to 5 board members to attend the CSBA conference.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, item 9A, preschool updates and program self-evaluation. Lisa Zuniga, General Pershing Preschool Director, will share our preschool program updates and results from the annual program self-evaluation. The administration recommends approval of the preschool program self-evaluation. Ms. Zuniga, it's you. It's all you.
Good evening, Superintendent McCulloch, cabinet members, President Sujisaka, and trustees. My name is Lisa Zuniga. I'm the Director of Early Childhood Development here in our district. We recently completed our self-evaluation for the 24-25 fiscal year. I believe you all received the evaluation in your packets, and I'm here for questions. I have a few slides for you to take a look at before we get to that. And I think I'm live here. So this year, some of our GLOWs include 31 students with IEPs were fully included in our preschool program. So that was a huge jump for us in early ed, representing 22% of the overall enrollment. We served all families that were interested in preschool here in Jefferson. We had 0 wait list, and were able to meet the needs of the community. We maintained high-quality classrooms. One of our highest-scoring teachers is here tonight, Cello Yusta. The 3 classrooms that were rated this year received 5 out of 5 on their quality rating improvement scale. We continued our SEED strategies. That was what I brought you last year about this time, and I showed you the tremendous amount of growth that we have in our literacy program with letter identification and sound. Our growth priority areas are to continue to build the inclusive preschool program, create more spaces to serve all students in our community, and add the tuition-based slots that Superintendent McCulloch referred to earlier. So again, more students learning more. We're opening an additional classroom in the fall as soon as the enrollment sort of ticks up and it shows that it's definitely a need. We're seeing what Superintendent McCulloch is seeing with the uptick in TK. Our program quality and school readiness focuses on language-rich environments and hiring highly qualified staff. And our inclusion program support placement. Our priority is to support the placement in the least restrictive environment and to continue our collaboration on inclusion with our TK partners and also with kindergarten as well, as many of our students are moving up to TK and K. And that's it for that presentation.
Thank you very much. All right, and then we will have board comments and questions, and this time we will start on my left.
I don't have any questions, but nice seeing you tonight, Lisa.
See you.
I just want to say thank you. I'm excited to see that we are continuing to make updates to our program to be able to facilitate all of the needs of our constituents in the community. As a mother who has had children go through preschool and then TK within our district, it is really a foundation for socialization really early on. It really sets the tone for really their education as they continue to progress. And I'm just really grateful that we're able to support and put resources into that. So thank you for all the hard work that you're doing.
Thank you for the presentation. Two questions. Could you please remind me what the SEEDS program is? I assume that might be an acronym, but if you could just remind us what.
And you know, I'm going to fail on the acronym. I have a few of my teachers here tonight, and Jessica has worked with me, but it's an early education literacy strategy, really. It's not a curriculum. It's a strategy where we use a lot of repeated read-alouds and letter recognition, writing, developing writing skills. So it's really a few strategies that are pulled together to support student learning at various levels.
Thank you. And I echo Trustee Jordan's sentiments of being very pleased to see the growth of our program and serving more, families within our community. I don't know if you have an easy answer to this question, but was just wondering how you might ensure that there's equity, there's no difference in the fee-based versus free preschool that we offer.
So every family completes the same application process. And when we get to the point when we're looking at the subsidy eligibility, we explain to the family the income eligibility ceilings. And it's a very transparent process with the family in the office, confidential. Once the family, it's determined if they're eligible or not, the fee or the free program is discussed with them. They're free to choose the program. And then once the child gets in the classroom, the teachers don't even know who's fee-based, free, subsidized. So it's handled in the office. We do have guidelines from CDE connected to the report that I submitted on enrollment and eligibility. So we follow those guidelines very closely, and if a family doesn't fall within those guidelines, we do offer them the fee-based option.
Thank you.
Now, actually, based on his question, I do have a question. Is there a cap with the fee-based, or is it just, and you don't have to, if it's confidential and you can't say that, that's fine too.
In terms of fees or
Yes, in terms of the fees?
So fees, we decided to go with sort of a county-wide medium. It's $2,400 a month for a full-time slot. That's including breakfast, lunch, napping, and our part-day slot, which is a 3.5-hour day, is $1,200 a month, which is a little bit lower than the private average in our area.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I have no questions. Thank you for the presentation. I did want to say I applaud you for having no wait list, so thank you for accommodating all our students and continue your efforts to fill those classrooms, of course, to an appropriate level.
Thank you. And again, just a reminder, you're all welcome to visit General Pershing and all of our preschool classrooms. We would love to see you there. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, so this is an action item, so we do need a motion to approve. And yeah, so unless there's any more further comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the preschool program self-evaluation.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, item 9B, K through 5 Elementary History Social Science Adoption. Jessica Pace, Program Director of Teaching and Learning, will present the instructional materials adoption process and recommendation to the board. The administration recommends adoption of the following state-approved K through 5 Elementary History Social Science instructional curriculum, K through 5 Social Studies Alive by Teachers Curriculum Institute. We'll leave it just Ms. Pace.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Pace, and I'm the Teaching and Learning Program Director. I'm here this evening to share with you the K-5 History Social Science Committee's recommendation for new instructional materials. Our Materials Adoption Committee was composed of TK through grade 5 teacher representatives from each of our 11 elementary schools, several of whom were also part of our ethnic studies team. We began the process back in October at our kickoff meeting. The committee reviewed the California History Social Science Framework, reviewed the key themes, content, inquiry, literacy, and citizenship. The team reviewed current student data, and the team co-created our district lens. We wanted to be sure that our students see themselves in the curriculum and are given the opportunity to learn about their history. The program needed to have supports for English learners, have inquiry-based projects, and it needed to work with our app platform Clever. And we wanted the program to align to language arts standards and our current ELA curriculum benchmark advance to help teachers save some time in the classroom. There were 4 history social science programs on the state of California's approved materials list. So we invited all 4 of the publishers to give us presentations. We used our district lens and a rubric from the state toolkit to evaluate the 4 programs. We were then able to narrow the list down to 2 programs that the committee wanted to pilot. We piloted, and the teachers and students evaluated each of the programs. The committee then came back together in May to analyze the data. The committee unanimously voted to recommend TCI Social Studies Alive. Here are some of the quotes from our teachers. The slides on the online resources were very helpful and easy to use. They really liked the TCI program because the program comes with pre-made Google Slides that they can pull up and edit themselves, so it was a real time saver for them. There was hands-on activities were engaging and captured the students' interest. I went to Tobias School. The students were in a gold mining activity where the teacher set up centers. They were listening to a gold mining song. They were panning for gold. The kids were just having a blast. So lots of engaging hands-on activities. Another quote, lessons and directions for teachers were easy to use. Our committee had a lot of conversations. They wanted the history social science curriculum to be able to be easy for a brand new teacher, fit into our curriculum. You know, the instructional minutes, there's not a lot of time to get in your science and social studies, so they wanted it to just be grab and go, and they really felt that TCI met those requirements. We also surveyed our students in the pilot classes, and we received feedback from 183 students. Here are 3 quotes from them. I liked that we got to know what it was like to be a miner during the gold rush. They must have been one of our 4th graders. I liked how to talk about Native Americans and places in America, and the activities were really fun, and I'm learning a lot about the colonies. If approved, our next steps will be to host some launching trainings at the August Institute Days, and then some follow-up options for teachers of professional development throughout the year. Within the platform, they have self-paced learning modules. There's an extensive YouTube training video library. We'd host some office hours as well as some optional professional development. And then in response to being back here in February, we would hope to have our grade level collaborative team meetings, work on planning with our new TCI curriculum to be able to look at ways to incorporate Ohlone education into our program. And San Mateo County Office of Education has curated some really great resources to help us get started on that process, and I've linked those resources here in my slide deck. And thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pace. All right, we move to board comments and questions, and this time we'll start on my right.
Okay. Great presentation. Thank you. I really appreciate all of the thoughtfulness in this process. You're getting comments from not only educators, but from the students themselves is really great to hear, a good cross-sample of them. And I really appreciate the thoughtfulness around incorporating Ramaytush Ohlone experience and education into the curriculum. So the question I have is a pretty basic one. Is this a change from the publisher that we were using before? And I guess who were we using before, and what do you think that the main changes will be from that? Sorry, I violated the one question rule.
They're kind of related, so that's okay.
Sure. So we were using Scotts Forsman was our publisher from before. It was published back in 2007. It's actually pretty much out of print now. I have to go and source through Follett to buy back copies because Scotts Forsman is not printing that edition any longer. I can still get it, but it's a challenge. I have to source it. And since the 2007, in 2017, the state created a new California framework for history social science. And so now this program is aligned to the new framework. And though the standards themselves have not significantly changed, the themes of the framework have been elevated. So those 4 themes that we focused on in our kickoff meeting, taking a look at the literacy, the citizenship, the inquiry, and the content, those themes are the drivers of the new framework. And so when the publishers resubmitted in 2017 to get onto the state-approved list, they needed to make sure that those themes were highlighted in their curriculum. So only 4 programs from publishers that fit the K-5 age range made it onto that list. So those were the 4 programs that our committee looked at, evaluated, and went forth and went through this process with.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I have 2 questions. I'll ask one and then we'll go from there. The children that were mining, did they find gold in the Golden State? That was not a real question. Okay. So my real question is with regards to you said it was 2007 when it was published. When did we adopt it?
That was the year that we adopted those materials.
Perfect. I have a second question, but you can go first.
Yeah, I had a question about just the process. So the teachers are following this framework, and then they have this curriculum. How much do they, or are they given permission to veer away from it and bring in their own materials? Because I know you're talking about focusing on the Ohlone, but do teachers only follow this and the pacing guides and that's it, or are they able to supplement?
Well, we haven't started down that process yet. So,
Do you want to?
I think for equality, we really want to make sure that our teachers use our adopted materials as a foundation, and then we really are supporting our collaborative teams to work together to make additional supplemental decisions as a team, so that all students across every single school in our district receive the same experience with the same materials. But it's really important, these materials that are adopted match the rigor of the standards, and so when we allow a lot of flexibility, sometimes that gets watered down.
Excellent. All right, I have one question, then I'll pass it back to Trustee Jordan. Mine is a quick one. So, well, first of all, I appreciate that we heard from the students and the teachers. As always, we love hearing from our community. Did we hear or engage any of the parents on the curriculum?
well, I sent a letter home to families in our 3 languages. We had materials out at school sites during open house, and I have materials on display here. And there was a link to a survey and a comment card. And as of this afternoon, I only had 1 person respond to that survey, and they did not give me a quote, so I had nothing to put in my slide deck.
No worries. Thank you. That answered my question perfectly. Trustee Jordan?
And then my question goes back to the fact that we, I guess, were using the same instructional materials for 18 years. Is there a process in the future on how to get updated ones, or do we have to wait for change within the guidelines? What is that process? Because 18 years just seemed like an extremely long time to wait to do an update.
So the framework hadn't changed in the duration of time until 2017. So for a good portion of that time, we were fine. We were using materials that were in line to the current framework. we were getting ready to do a history social studies adoption, and the pandemic hit. So then that adjusted our timeline of how we could proceed. So it did set us back. We were hoping to get materials closer to the 2017 framework, and then the pandemic hit, and that set us back a ways. So, and we were also planning to do the science, which we did before that. So then we were double put back, if that makes sense, because we wanted to do the science before we did the history social studies. The pandemic hit, so we had recovery time, so we're just getting to it now. So we would hope to be more on a every 8-year cycle of adoption, making sure that we don't hit that. But we're also dependent on the state and their timelines of when they release a new framework. Once they release the framework, then it usually takes them a year or two before then publishers can adjust their materials and align them to the new framework, and then have a state review committee review those materials to put them on the approved list. So sometimes even after that, say, framework was adopted for history social studies in 2017, it was closer to 2019 before approved materials were there for us to look at, and then we hit a pandemic. So it is a process. We try to follow that timeline rather closely. Whereas in our middle school, it's easier when teachers are just following 1 or 2 subject areas to stay in line than in elementary when we have teachers teaching all of those content areas. That's how we got a little bit behind. But yes, I'm with you on the trying to stay in line with that.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I would just recommend we figure out contingency plans, or maybe even messaging to the board, so that way it doesn't come and we're like, oh, 18 years. Just more of like communication around like, hey, this is what happened. We were gonna do this, we're gonna wait. It just might be helpful so that, because 18 years just, and then maybe we were told and I just don't remember, but 18, when you said 2007, that's why I asked, did we adopt it in 2007? And you're like, yes, and I was like, whoa, that's an adult time frame. So, but I appreciate the insight and the hard work.
Oh, sorry, we have one more question.
Do you have one more question? I'm first of all blown away that 2007 was 18 years ago. My question is, so I understand that the standard textbook adoption duration is 8 years. What happens if during the school year, I'm sure this won't happen, but the teachers really don't like the materials, it's not working out for whatever reason? Do we have a way of switching before then? What mechanism are we locked into this for 8 years?
I think that's why we do a very thorough process and take pretty much the whole year to really engage everybody in looking at the 4 that were available to us. And then that's the commitment, right? That you are approving this material for the next 8 years for our teachers to use. I've taught with this material as well. It's amazing. So I think our district is moving in the right direction.
Actually, this material is used in our middle school, and our middle school has used it now for 2 cycles. They like TCI so much that when we went through back in 2019, the last adoption cycle, they piloted 2 programs, and they chose to pick TCI a second time. So they were already using TCI, then they piloted the updated version, and they chose to select it a second time. So.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Pace. All right, so this is an action item, so I will need a motion unless there's any more comments or questions. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion in a second.
I move that we approve the history and social science adoption.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, just as a brief reminder before we move on to 10A, a couple of things that we're just reminding for future meetings. The timer that we are going to be using is for public presentations, since the board has to discuss our content, and I said this earlier, just repeating this for anyone who wasn't here. Just making sure that the presenters are the ones with a time limit, since this is the board and we're conducting our business that we need to make informed decisions. We get to ask, we'll be moving forward with unlimited time for us to ask as many questions as we need to make an informed decision. Along with that questions, we will be asking questions one at a time until everyone's asked an equal number of questions. Then we will go back and allow other people to ask those questions. All right, item 10A, contract with Sodexo for consulting management services of food service operations.
Yes, so I'm going to invite our representatives from Sodexo to the podium to share their proposal.
All right, I'll read this before they do that. Martha Aroke, Sodexo District Manager, and Caitlin Bussey, Sodexo Consultant, will present highlights from the Sodexo proposal. The administration recommends approval of the contract with Sodexo in the amount of $1,523,289 for consulting and purchasing services of the district's food service operation for the 25-26 school year. And take it away.
The green light. Thanks. Thank you for allowing us to present tonight. Hopefully it's interactive. I think you guys probably had a chance to read through a lot of it. So we'll go at quick highlights of it. And then if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them. And I'm Martha O'Rourke, and this is Caitlin, who you all know. So anyway, Sodexo is pleased to propose. As you know, in the state of California, we are limited to consulting and purchasing, supporting your district. It is your program. 100%. State of California does not, through Ed Code, does not allow us to manage programs and have any employees on our payroll. Caitlin and a procurement person that helps out Caitlin, supports Caitlin, are the only two Sodexo people. So I think that's a big thing to understand. It's not Sodexo's food, Sodexo's program. So I just want to make that really clear. There we go. Power. There we go. So basically the highlights of the proposal, it went through a 5-year bid process this year, and basically our proposal focuses on program design, which is the collaboration of child nutrition and your student input, promoting healthy and minimally processed food. Regulatory, Sodexo does help with your regulatory requirements. As we all know, you're part of the National School Lunch Program. You're more so today because you're universal, meaning all meals must be fully compliant in order to be reimbursed by the state of California and the federal government. And so with that, obviously when you take money from somebody, there are rules attached to that. Sodexo also offers some marketing proprietary programs that kind of decorate your schools, so to speak, and market it, which we think is really good because a lot of people like to have a nice professional look, so we do that. And then Sodexo in this program is a fixed price per meal. What I think is really innovative, and we'll talk about it in a second, is they've added, Josie and the district added some mechanisms to make decisions that the district is not just capped at our price. You can do other things. So I think that's a great thing. So anyway, we'll quickly go into the other pages. The first one is about the collaboration. At Jefferson School District, food service leadership and staff are an integral part of the program. They make the decisions, we run them by the food service department. A lot of our job is to show them the cost of things. Like, for example, if you want to switch to all organic, what would that look like and what would it cost? We give the data to them, then the district. Also, we work with the staff for insights and ensure that every initiative aligns, with the district priorities, school site services and capabilities, and your district facilities. And I think that's the one thing here at Jefferson is you have a broad span of facilities in your schools, which obviously limits some of the food things you can offer. You have a central kitchen set up. It's what we would call a prepackaged meal program in the elementary schools, and that's because of your facilities. You are prohibited from doing a lot of service any other way than from a central kitchen, and that's more from a health department and facility design. So if there's bonds and things like that, modernization's always a good thing. I think that pretty much covers, we work with your team members to collaborate on things, and the final decision always rests with the district. That is actually USDA regulations. We're not allowed to make any decisions that are not approved by school districts. What we have been trying to focus on is elevating your student input and their voice. I know doing a lot of surveys. Today, modern technology is awesome. You can do a lot of just-in-time. You have NutriSlice in your schools that tells the families what the nutrients are. Kids can also tell us right then and there. They can make comments about a menu item in there, and I don't know how often that happens, but there's some, if they like the item or not. It's right there online on the menu, which is nice. We have been doing a lot of taste tests for new menu items, alternating if they don't like it and getting their input. And we love to do the vote and be heard and put the popular items on the menu. And then we try to use the innovation to get feedback from the kids and put it in there for more, like the spring survey that was just done. Which takes us to the next slide, spring survey. There's some good input here from this one. I think this slide will go through each of the bullets. Prepackaged food came out as it does impact the quality. We all know when we get something packaged, particularly something like a chicken sandwich or chicken nugget, it's going to get, it has moisture. It's going to get soggy. So food service teams exploring ways right now to serve food outside of packaging, leading to better quality and presentation and less waste. I think that's another big thing is the packaging. So identifying products such as pizza and chicken nuggets that degrade in packaging and using a second person to serve that item. You're allowed to serve directly on there, and so maybe do a rotation through your elementary schools so we just stop with the packaging of those items because they're not going to be good. You know, the reality is you have moisture, and so there's not a really good way to fix that. They want to offer more Asian entrees, which is super exciting, so testing and deploying more Asian recipes, such as pancit and fried rice at the students' request, and they want to continue with the weekly fresh fruits and vegetables. So those were pretty much what came out of the survey recently, and obviously we would highly recommend that those continue, so, and are excited about it. Sodexo continues to work with USDA as the regulations, we all know, the MAHA group is pushing a lot of this, and we think it's awesome, is continuing to promote healthy, minimally processed foods. We're doing that. Obviously, funding hopefully comes the way of schools, because obviously if you start to put in more higher quality, I guess for lack of a better term, then it obviously costs a bit more money. But we're all lucky to live in California. They're pretty committed to funding universal meals and making up the difference from the federal government right now. So that's nice to see. We're really focused on, natural flavors and nutritional value. This year, there's some new guidelines with sugar in breakfast starting in July 1, which is great. Emphasize fresh produce and whole grains, limit additives and preservatives. I think that'll be, I do think just from what's happening right now at the federal level, that should be launched much quicker than what was currently passed in the new, that's the dyes and the natural dyes in food, the unnatural dyes in food and preservatives. So I think there's going to be some things changing relatively quickly there. We are always focused on locally sourced. California's done a lot of funding for local and being a part, and then Sodexo makes available for the district, our culinary staff, a collection of recipes to use that support diverse, healthy offerings while aligning the modern dietary trends. And one of the things I think is a challenge in food service is it's always changing. Today someone likes something and tomorrow they don't like it, or something new and different. So I think, and it also keeps it exciting. So that's one of the goals, is working in child nutrition with that. And then I talked about our expertise in federal, we know a lot about child nutrition. We focus on child nutrition. I've been in this business for 40 years, so I've seen obviously a lot of changes. Caitlin's been your partner here for the last 10 years. She has a background in nutrition, food and nutrition. She also knows a lot about the regulations, so that can keep things going. And she collaborates. We have a team of dietitians. We have a dietitian here in the area, as well as Caitlin, to help support the needs of its students and any special diets. We talked about Bright Bites. Bright Bites and Foodie. Bright Bites is our new elementary program, so we're excited about it. It takes up trendy meals and puts some new signage to it and tries to do a lot more of the scratch cooking. So this really aligns with California's goals anyway. Foodie is a retail look. You know, the middle school kids, they like something that looks more like you're going to get it at a retail operation. So that one's been in place here, but it always has new looks, and we're trying to focus more on the global influence for more ethnic diversity in food. Both concepts are designed to complement the core program of your district. So that's all part of your fixed price. So we're excited. This is real quickly what your fixed price per meal includes. It includes your food and supplies. You're leveraging extensive national suppliers, Caitlin, as I mentioned, as well as Fiorella, who's supporting our procurement platform. NutriSlice software we pay for here, POS systems, all of that is included in the price, and a complete menu planning and record keeping. So it's pretty much everything in a nutshell, and I'm sure there might be some questions, and we can spend more than 16 seconds on it. So
Excellent, thank you. Actually, we have a little bit more than that. We can take so much time on questions as we'd like, but thank you so much for your presentation, and thank you for fitting in that 10 minutes.
Talk
All right,
fast.
and then we will start with board questions and comments, and again, start with one, and we'll start on my left.
Thank you. What's the biggest challenge for you contracting with us?
Well, I would think the biggest challenge would be facilities, because the more facilities you have, the better you can do anything. I mean, in the food business, you know, if you had like cooking right then and there and doing just-in-time cooking, but that is a major infrastructure. Central kitchens are very efficient, and you remember in years past, prior to Universal Meals, the district struggled financially just to stay at a break even. So the decisions were made also just to be financially prudent with the dollars and trying to keep the program afloat, just because you had awful lot of paid kids, meaning it's less federal and state funding. So I think anytime you have, you know, the right equipment to line up, and then your staffing. My goodness, if you could have unlimited staff out there cooking and have bakers and chefs and all this stuff, it would be awesome. But it's going to take time to move to universal or scratch cooking. It takes time to change a workforce over the last so many years that pretty much was a heat and serve environment. Because you remember back before COVID, you were getting like $3.50 a meal total for labor, food, and everything. So, I mean, it's nice there's been a big commitment to it, but it's you're going to have to continually work with your workforce too. So,
Trustee Jordan?
I want to say thank you for the presentation. Actually, a lot of what you have mentioned in this presentation looks like it was based on feedback that was given by some trustees, as well as working with Ms. King and the Wellness Committee, just to ensure that the feedback from the community, the students, was heard. You had mentioned the Fresh Food Week, or the Fresh Fruit Week, and weekly specialty fruits, and then it says with district help financially. What do you mean by that in terms of like what is the district supplementing when it comes to that financially?
I'm glad you mentioned that. I had not highlighted on that, and I was going to. You know, your price is set for your fruit and vegetable. You're required every day to offer a fruit and a vegetable. But let's just say you decide you want, I don't know, like watermelon or something, which seems silly, but it can be very expensive per serving. Or you want to do cherries or something like that, which is really in season right now. There's a mechanism in here for us to pre-quote the price to Anita and to Josie, and then to decide if the district wants to pay that additional amount. So, for example, we have a quarter in the budget for fruit each day. Then let's say that costs 80 cents a serving, so that difference would be billed for it. So it's awesome because you can also play with some things that maybe you have a local vendor that wants you to do something you want to partner with. Before, there really wasn't a mechanism for that in place to meet those district needs. Oh.
Yeah, sorry. And this kind of started last year. We started doing more of these, like the specialty fresh fruits, because we had the LFS funding, Local Foods for Schools. So then that gave us a lot more leeway with the budget to purchase those. And, you know, obviously that it had really great reception. So everyone wants to see that again. So the district did start working because the funds have now stopped. They aren't renewing those again. So the district did start working with a permanent. It's like a farm to school company that works with like a farm hub to bring in more like local, like fresh fruits and vegetables. So we did start doing that at the end of the year. But yeah, without that funding, it's hard to work with that in our small budget we have otherwise.
Yeah, with LFS, I think you heard all over the news, the local food for schools was stopped, and so everybody got really used to that, though. And that's kind of the risk you run when you're giving one-time money for an ongoing program. You know, all of a sudden you take it away, and your consumer, particularly in food, says, "Wait a minute, where is this?" So it's a nice mechanism in there to decide, you know, if you can afford it or not.
Thank you for the presentation. I wanted to ask more about the survey that you did this spring. You know, it was, I think you got to 3 very good, sensible recommendations of, you know, varying cultural offerings and the moisture level, making the food more appetizing. I think that's excellent. But how did you do the survey? Like, how many students were surveyed? I think that our student services may have been involved previous presentation, but was just curious to hear how that went.
Yeah, there was actually 2 surveys. One we did with Stephanie, and then another one came out later. And we probably will do like another presentation or, you know, something to come with the results of the survey. So it's kind of like a preliminary feedback that we got, like a big picture. But I don't know how many people was in that survey, but recently it's been like a few hundred for the results for feedback for parents and the students. But we still need to do more analysis because it just came out. I mean, it just came out this month, so it's not a full evaluation yet.
There's 2 types of surveys that I usually recommend in programs, and one is on the food, and then one is on just the overall service. Because, you know, you can all think of a restaurant you'd like to go to and the service isn't very good, or you're not happy with how they treated you and things. But then there's another one where you don't like the food. So you do have to look at both of those. And we tend to, because we have no, the employees don't report here, it's hard to look at service and decide, you know, if that's the issue, because you can all think back of in your lunch days when you were kids, and you can remember the lunch person you loved, and you can remember one who was not very happy sometimes. So some of that also, but so this one I think was more on food preferences and what they're looking for in their meals. And we also know the other huge issue in child nutrition is speed of service, which has really impacted when we went universal, because let's say you used to serve 200 kids and all of a sudden a site now serves 400. It changes the infrastructure of that school and the serving times and the lunch period and the wait times. Everything about it was a perfect storm. So those kind of things everybody's grown over the last couple of years with. But speed of service, kids won't wait. They want it fast.
Yeah,
so
especially some schools change their lunches to 1 lunch does not help us.
Yeah.
Just some feedback to those.
Yeah, and then they'll say the lines are long, but if you have 300 or 400 kids, you know, it's a tough situation.
Excellent. If there are any other questions? All right, go ahead. Oh, yeah, one more, and then one more there.
Now that you brought up speed of service, do you have any recommendations on how to improve that?
More than 1 lunch period. No, that is big. I think, you know, we try to do, you should be at 12 to 15 kids a minute going through. I think evaluating POS systems, particularly in elementary, with universal meals and stuff, if you do some of the provisions and look at that down the road, there's some different provisions that you get paid by percentage going, and then you can just drop a card in and keep running. You know, it's really has to look at that, and I think it's by individual school. But I know it's a frustration. It's a frustration to keep schools organize, particularly principals and recess on time and all these things. But you also should be looking at the number of lunch serving periods when you're serving more kids.
You mentioned scratch cooking, and I'm curious what we are able to prepare from scratch when the facilities vary quite a bit in our district. But just curious what we are and are not able to do from scratch.
Yeah, so right now we in our central kitchen would be where we're doing most of the scratch cooking. And with our labor, currently we do at least one meal per week is our capacity. We're trying to increase it to 2 per week, but just with the amount of people we have, which has increased actually. So that is being worked on. And the middle schools also do some scratch cooking. They make rice to go with like a Korean beef or something like that, chicken teriyaki. They'll make rice, they'll make burritos. They make chicken pesto flatbread. They have a buffalo chicken wrap on right now. So in the middle schools is a lot easier. There's 2 people there and they have a bigger kitchen. And then at the central kitchen, the items that we're making from scratch, well, it's more like speed scratch because we don't make, all of our own sauces, but sometimes we do. Like we have Hawaiian chicken that's on tomorrow. We made that sauce from scratch, and we made the rice. And then we'll make pasta for our spaghetti and buttered Parmesan pasta. Any rice dishes.
I have a follow-up question, if that's okay. Is there any opportunity to involve our middle school students in doing these preparations, which I can imagine is quite difficult and undertaking, but I also know that this is done in other school districts in California.
Yes, it is done in other schools, and there's like culinary classes, but that really depends on your district and your collective bargaining and everything. So it's the more hands you can get, the better the program obviously is. And food service is very, intensive. The one thing I want to add too is I think the next thing coming is disposables. That's an issue too. So the more we can minimize the use of single serve packaging and those things, I think there's going to be obviously. There is an emphasis now, and it's going to grow. So I'm telling you that's something that districts will be recommending that they invest in, not doing as much as you can get away from little packages that are single use. You're going to be far better off because there's just all the Cal Recycle and all this stuff going on that will continue.
Awesome. We have one more. Okay.
I actually had a question about the timing, actually, just to go back to what we were talking about earlier. And you may not know the answer to this question, so maybe someone from food services or our superintendent, do you know if we are monitoring and tracking how long it takes for students to get through the lines during their lunch periods?
I don't have that information, but I can get it to you.
Thank you. If we are not monitoring it, it seems like we should be monitoring it because it just seems like that would be beneficial information for us to know and utilize as, especially if we're going to grow our TK and we're growing all of this stuff, that just means more mouths to feed, and we should probably be prepared for that influx. I have another question, but I will wait.
Sorry.
Yes.
I have done that before. I had Ben Franklin, actually I was talking about it with the principal, and he's like, oh yeah, that actually was 15 minutes, because I mentioned how it does take a long time to get through, and he's like, well, we clocked it, and it was about 15 minutes for like the end of the line to get to the front.
Do you know if that is every day, or is that a one-time thing?
I don't know offhand. Yeah,
Got
but
it.
he mentioned like when people don't want to wait in line, they'll like go outside and play around, and then they'll come back when the line dies down.
Yeah, and my question is really more so to figure out the consistency and thus tracking it for future use. It seems like it should be every day. Different every day is going to be different, so it just seems like that should just be a part of what we do. But I think secondarily, I want to make sure that we're not. It's not that we're turning away students, but if the students get discouraged from standing in the line and they walk away and then they come back, but they only have like 10 minutes left and they got to get to class, then that could affect the rest of the day because then they haven't eaten. It's like a domino effect. So I guess I'm recommending understanding what our tracking is of that, so that way we don't put ourselves in a bind, or at least our students are not getting what they need to be able to continue down with learning for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you can also use your POS system to do that from the time the first transaction till the last, and then just have them record those times. Because I totally agree. The other thing is, remember, they need time to sit down and eat. And we all know, especially younger kids, studies show that they take some time to eat. And if they run into their friends, there is some legislation, I think, this year looking at a mandatory sit-down time, too, in the cafeteria. California is looking at legislating that. Because if all your friends get up, you're just going to, and you're a slow eater, you're just going to throw the food away and run off with your friends, and you may have needed that food. So,
And I also just want to point out that our district has a 50-minute lunch, which I have never seen before in a district. So I think our students do have a lot of time, even if it's in a one lunch. So there's a lot of time to get the food and to play. So just wanted to point that fact out.
Oh, sorry, you said 5-0?
50.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, we
thank
have
you.
50-minute lunch.
at the elementaries, too?
Yeah, it's contractual.
Excellent. All right, then.
We had 30.
All right, so I have two quick comments, and then we're good to go. Well, first of all, to tap into what you both were saying, Trustee Roshpa, you want to talk more about that? That's CTE. That's the work that I do for about schools and students working in lunch. So if you have questions about that, I can answer some. And then I can definitely tell you the people that are sitting at those lunch lines watching from being a vice principal, they are timing every lunch. Like what day, especially with like pizza day, that's always a popular one. Like we are timing because we want to get out of there. So, but now are they being reported? I don't think that's, I don't know if that maybe other schools are doing it differently. But I can tell you for sure, those vice principals out there are definitely timing how long it takes to get 350 kids through a lunch.
If there's a best demonstrated school, like if you compare against each other, how can this school cut it to 10 minutes and another one's at 15, just to see that the structural.
You can also use it as a competition. No, I'm just kidding.
And I appreciate you saying that. Again, my comments were not more so, it was more so confirmation that we were doing it because we should be. But secondly, if one school is different, or I'm just making this up, the beginning of the school year, we're seeing really long lines and the time is taking longer, but the middle of the school year, we're not. Why is that happening? How can we learn from that? It's more so, how do we learn from the tracking? That's really more the question that I'm trying to understand.
Definitely 100% agree. But otherwise, I appreciate how you read the slides. Thank you for not reading the entire slide. And then thank you for utilizing the feedback from our students and our staff. Thank you so much for your presentation. All right,
Yeah.
so now we do have, this is an action, so we will.
I just have two comments. First of all, I would say that, I would advocate for exploring the inclusion of students in the meal preparation, not to take anything away from our food service workers, with the emphasis on this program being education and student involvement. That culinary skills could be a wonderful thing to offer to our students. Though I know logistically possible. I also want to say that, prior to this meeting, I had a lot more questions about the school lunch program, and I really want to thank Anita King, who I see here, for taking the time to sit down, answer all of the questions that I have, and really confident that she and her staff are taking this important program in the right direction, and want to thank you, Caitlin, for 10 years of service. That's really valuable to have that partnership with our district. So yeah, I'd be excited to motion to approve this contract.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
You may take a seat. Don't worry, you're good. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 11A, Provisional Internship Permit 2024-2025. The administration recommends approval of the single subject provisional internship credential for the 25-26 school year for Gwen Rushlow while she completes her credential program at Alliant University in fall of 2025. Ms. Rushlow will be teaching PE at Franklin Delano Roosevelt School. Are there any comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I have a quick comment.
Yes.
I'd just like to congratulate Gwen Rushlow for, taking this step to get the PIP or Provisional Internship credential, and I wish her well in this position.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions?
Other
Otherwise,
comment, I'd like to motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have any other comments before we move on?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 12A, Retirements Classified Personnel. The administration recommends approval of the retirement request from the following classified employees and requests an appropriate resolution be made or prepared commending those with 10 or more years of service with the district. Maria Calero, Food Service Assistant, Fernando Rivera School, date of hire August 20th, 2018, effective June 7th, 2025. Slavica Diaz, Instructional Assistant, Preschool, General Pershing, date of hire May 7th, 2012. Revised effective date from June 7th, 2025 was approved by the board April 23rd of this year to September 8th, 2025. And Ann M. McNeely, Student System Specialist, District Office, date of hire October 5th, 2009, effective June 30th, 2025. Oh, and one more. Nigel Rankin, Skia, Benjamin Franklin, date of hire October 9th, 2000, effective June 7th, 2025. Are there any comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Congratulations on your retirement and your years of service. A motion to approve.
I have one comment before we do. I would like to congratulate Malia Calero for being an amazing food service assistant at Fernando Rivera School during my time there.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. Item 13A, March 2025 CSBA Board Policy Updates, second reading. The board will review and revise board policies / administrative regulations / board bylaws from March 2025 CSBA board policy updates as stated in a second reading. Are there any comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
The only comment I would like to make is I know at the beginning of this meeting, a board member that is not attending this meeting had requested for this to be pulled. The reason why I motioned to move forward with the agenda item to remain on is because this is not only the second reading, but because I am on the board policy committee, I had reviewed this myself and also provided feedback on the edits. And so I feel very confident with the second reading and moving forward with approving. And so if there are no comments, I am making a motion to approve.
Excuse me. Did the board member say why they wanted this pulled?
She just felt that she needed more information. I did provide more information, but she still wanted it to be postponed to have more time.
At the beginning of the meeting, we did motion to continue with it on the agenda. Again, if you
Well,
have
just
the
for
right to say-
discussion's sake, I just want to say that just in the spirit of boardsmanship, usually if someone needs more information or more time, we kind of accommodate that. But that's it. That's all I got to say.
All right, so I do have a motion on the table. Do I have a second? Or any more comments or questions?
I will second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, we reach item number 14, governance team member comments, reports, future agenda items, and board meeting reflection, and I will start on my left.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if people know that I'm a juvenile justice commissioner for the county, and I'm noticing that at our meetings, we spend a lot of time talking about the education of those youth that are in either facilities, incarceration facilities, or even they could be in foster care or what they call community care now. And it keeps coming up in our meetings now that we're thinking about having different commissioners become liaisons to school districts and dividing that up into north, south, and central parts of the county. So I'm just putting that out there to the board and to the public that I would like us to figure out a way to put that as a future board agenda item, just juvenile justice and delinquency prevention. And I think we could get ahead of this and as, be in the forefront like we usually are. And one thing that keeps coming up to me is just my intuition as a professional educator is that when they ask us what can the schools do better for delinquency prevention, my answer is always, isn't that what school is? Right? If you're not in school and you're doing things that are antisocial or criminal or whatever you're doing, that's delinquency, right? So I think we have a challenge to make schools better in general, and then we can talk specifically about juvenile justice and delinquency prevention. But I think it's worth us getting it on our agenda in some type of way. Thank you.
Excellent. We'll consider that for future board agenda.
I actually want to say I appreciate Trustee Eiley asking the question on why our current board member, who is not here today, asked to pull the board policy update. I did not ask that question, and again, mostly because number one, this is the second reading. I was not aware. Actually, this is the first time I'm even hearing that we. Well, maybe this is actually the first time I'm hearing someone is wanting to pull the agenda item. It's not here, so maybe that's a part of the issue as well. And again, I want to just say out loud again, the reason for me wanting to move forward with it is because it is a second reading. I am on the board committee, and so I had already read it multiple times and given feedback, and I didn't see anything that was outside of the norm. We were really removing some language that was alluding to like high school, and we are not a high school district. And so we weren't adding anything in relation to any law changes with regards to gender or any of that stuff, which I know is politically controversial at this time. And so I just wanted to make sure to say that out loud to the public so that they understand the reasoning why I wanted to move forward. And it had nothing to do with wanting to leave a board member out of the discussion or moving forward with that. And I do encourage our board members to try to read the information when we get it, because there is a lot of information, which is why I'm grateful for second readings, because it allows us to have additional time. And so maybe this is something we can talk about in the future, is like second readings not enough? Is there more time that's needed? It's because I think we just have so much to get through that to push things out just adds more to the agenda items for the next time. And so I just wanted to say that out loud. And then I also want to talk through the juvenile justice when we talk about our schools being safe spaces. There have been comments, especially about like safety recently in our district and students feeling safe on campus. And then obviously even during the pandemic when we talk about police on campus, that sort of thing. And so at the end of the day, children are gonna make mistakes. Then they should feel safe to make those mistakes. If they don't have a place that they feel that they can make those mistakes, then they're gonna leave our school district. And there's a statement that has been made about like the pipeline to either a career or a pipeline to prison, and we don't want our district to be a pipeline to criminal. You know, we want them to make mistakes. We want to be able to course correct them. We want to have the curriculum and the support of our teachers and our community to say, hey, we know you made this mistake, but this is not the strike and you're out. You have the opportunity to come back from that and make good decisions. And so I am in support of us having a conversation to move that forward, especially in a country where there are divided views of things and cultural differences where something that may be deemed not okay by one is like, oh, well, this is culturally for me. I didn't think that was wrong. And sometimes unconscious bias could cause students to feel like they're less than, they don't belong, and then, or maybe someone saying something to them like, oh, you're never going to amount to something, and then they take that to heart, and then they actually do go off and do a criminal activity. Or like today, we had students talking about vaping, you know, or a student vaping in class, and now their punishment, and they don't understand because they are still learning and they need the support to be course corrected. So I wanted to say that out loud. It's just so important to meet them where they're at and give them the right course correction, even if sometimes that takes 3 or 4 times. They are learning and they should be allowed to make mistakes now.
I support the comments made by Trustee Ali and Trustee Jordan about the importance of school safety and wanting to explore juvenile justice as a topic for future board meetings. As usual, an inspiring evening, and I'm always most taken by the comments and presentations of our students and share in the inspiration that you felt, Superintendent McCulloch, by the posters and videos and presentations from our students. Want to congratulate all of the students who are graduating or being promoted next week, and want to encourage people to follow both President Tsujisaka's advice of taking time off and my advice of continuing to learn. Both are important, and wanted to wish all students, families, teachers, classified staff, administrators a wonderful summer. Thank you.
I echo my fellow board trustee sentiments. I have nothing to add because they got it all covered. All right, so with that being said, we will move to persons wishing to address the board on closed session. This portion of the agenda is for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is, oh wait, I think it's over here. Oh, oops, yeah, that's right. On the board that is addressed in closed session, the maximum time for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. Do we have any speaker cards? Thank you very much. Before we close this meeting, we are going to close with a moment of silence in honor of Joyce Gray, retired counselor at Thomas R. Policeta Middle School and teacher at Daniel Webster Elementary School. We will recess for 5 minutes at 8:42. Please be in the conference room at 8:47 p.m.